"Grandpa, don't drink that." I felt the room tilt and then right itself. Because of her, I traded places, kept calm, and watched the wrong person turn pale instead of me. Lily didn't shout. She leaned in, 13 and steady, fingers pinching my sleeve under the table. It was late October, Sunday evening, a few minutes after sunset. The wall clock read 6:45. Streetlights blinked on up and down our cul-de-sac in suburban Austin. Through the open window, you could hear a TV 2 houses over and the last of the cicadas. The mug in my hand steamed chamomile with honey, but the sweetness in the air was wrong, like a coin warmed in your palm. Candles wavered. The house smelled like roasted chicken, rosemary, green beans, and fresh rolls. My good plates. My old table. A night meant to be easy. I'm Henry, Lily's grandfather. To my left sat Lily, the only one brave enough to name danger. Across from us, Marlene Cross, Vivian's mother, gentle-eyed, first to compliment the food, the kind of guest who brings basil and stays to do dishes. At the head, my son Michael, polite and distracted, carving the bird like he was late for something. Near the pass-through, my daughter-in-law, Vivian, polished, crisp smile, hands too comfortable arranging what I should eat and when. "Tea, Henry?" Vivian set the mug by my plate like a gift. "Chamomile settles the stomach." "Kind of you," I said. I brought it close, felt its heat on my lip, and drew back at once. The scent slid metallic for a blink. I set it down like it was simply too hot. Lily's grip tightened. Her eyes flicked from Vivian to me, back again. "To Marlene," I said, raising my water glass instead, "for bringing the basil that makes this spread sing." I stood to pass the rolls. With my free hand, I moved the mug an inch, then 2. Small motions, host's habits. When I set the basket down near Marlene, the mug rested by her plate. Conversation never broke. Michael cleared his throat. "Dad, this is great, like Sundays used to be." He kept his phone face down, but touched it twice. Vivian smiled at the room. "You always like it a little sweeter, Henry," she said. "I added honey." "Thank you," I said. The clock ticked. The sky outside shifted from violet to ink. Lily sat close enough that her shoulder brushed mine. She tried for a bite of beans, her fork rattled. Only I noticed. Marlene, sweet as ever, patted Lily's wrist. "Your grandpa could open a diner," she said, laughing softly. She lifted the mug, took a sip, and sighed. "Ah, that is nice." We ate. We traded small stories. The air conditioner hummed. Somewhere down the block a dog barked and fell quiet. The more ordinary it all seemed, the louder the wrongness sounded in my head. 10 minutes later, Marlene's smile thinned. She blinked at her plate, then at the candle. "I feel lightheaded," she said, as if choosing the gentlest word. "Water?" Vivian was quick, almost eager. Michael half rose, then sat. I reached for Marlene's elbow. Her breathing went shallow. Her napkin slid from her lap. "You're okay," I told her, "because people need a voice to follow when the room tilts." Her fork rang against china, bright, thin, final, and she folded toward the side of her chair. My chair scraped back. I eased her to the floor. "Michael," I said, steady, call. He stared for a beat, then fumbled his phone. Lily was faster. She had 911 on speaker before he unlocked his screen. "What's your address?" the operator asked, calm as a metronome. Lily read it off. Her hand found my forearm and anchored there. I could see our porch light glow on the glass, see our jack-o'-lantern unlit by the door. A normal Austin Sunday, pressed thin. "What did she eat or drink?" the voice asked next. Silence pressed the room. Vivian's eyes flashed to the mug and away. Michael looked anywhere but the table. I looked at the cup that smelled like flowers and a coin and felt Lily's warning settle into place. "Roast chicken," I said evenly. "Green beans, rolls." My gaze didn't leave the mug. "And chamomile tea. If you want to know where this night leads, stay close and don't forget to comment below." Vivian's mouth opened, then closed. "If you think that's best," she said. The Smile St. David's ER hummed under fluorescent light. The air carried antiseptic and winter cold. Marlene lay behind a curtain, a cuff squeezing her arm, a monitor sketching calm green hills. Hard plastic chairs lined the wall like a warning to get comfortable. The clock above triage said 8:48, late October. Outside, rain threatened and changed its mind. A nurse took vitals, hand steady. What did she eat or drink? Pen ready. Roast chicken, green beans, rolls, I said. Chamomile tea, I added, careful. It smelled sweet, almost metallic. Her pen paused. She wrote anyway. Any allergies? New meds? None, Vivian answered quickly. Her hand hovered near her mother's purse. She was fine before dinner, perfectly fine. Michael paced between a vending machine and a blank TV. He checked the exit sign as if it might tell him what to do. Lily sat pressed against my side, 2 fingers looped around my wrist. Feet swung, tight, then still. A doctor stepped in, mid-40s, alert eyes. I'm Dr. Rashid, we're running labs. Vitals are stable, but we'll observe. Could it be the food? Michael asked. Too early to say, the doctor replied. Dehydration, a reaction, contaminants. If you still have the tea and cup, don't wash them. Testing can help us rule things out. Of course, Vivian said. Her smile held like varnish. It was loose chamomile, honey, that's all. Did you drink any? He asked. I don't care for chamomile, she said. Too floral. Lily's hand tightened. She didn't look at her mother. She watched the curtain. Her breathing came shallow and fast, like a bird trying not to shake. I slipped my palm over her knuckles. Warmth passed both ways. Marlene stirred, asked for water. Vivian hurried in to soothe. Mom, you scared us, she said, tone soft as gauze. Over her shoulder she checked the room, then me, then the invisible clock in her head. Michael sat at last. Dad, will she be okay? She is kind, I said. Kind should be okay. He nodded, then stared at the floor. It looked like you knew to move that mug. I moved rolls, I said, and gravy. We let the rest sit. The nurse returned with forms. Describe the tea, she said. Sweet, I told her, not honey sweet. Like a penny left in sun. She wrote, thanked me, moved on. The clock clicked forward 1 quiet minute. Somewhere, a child cried once and stopped. A janitor's cart rattled past like distant rain. Lily's voice finally found me, small, shaken. Grandma? Yes, little bird. Can I stay with you tonight? She didn't whisper the rest. I don't want to go home. Vivian turned from the curtain. Lily, sweetie, you need your bed. Big day tomorrow. Lily didn't answer her. She looked at me, eyes wet and fierce. Please. Michael tried to smile. We'll all be fine. It's been a long night. I met Lily's look and saw more than fear. I saw decision. She'll stay with me, I said. We'll both sleep better. Tugged, thin at the edges. Dr. Rashid returned. Labs are trending reassuring. We'll admit her for overnight observation. Thank you, doctor, I said. We gathered our coats. The night beyond the automatic doors felt bigger than it had an hour ago. Lily kept close, palm pressed to my sleeve. In the parking lot glow, she finally spoke the thing under the thing. I think Mom's been planning this, she said, for weeks. I did not flinch. We'll talk at home, I told her. You're safe with me. The house wore its night sounds like a familiar coat. The porch light threw a soft square on the rug. The clock in the hall ticked the way it has ticked for 20 years. I set a glass of water on the coffee table and tucked the old blue throw around Lily's shoulders. She had kicked off her sneakers without looking, toes tucked under like she was trying to make herself smaller. It's just us, I said. Take your time. She stared at the glass. The surface trembled, and then I realized it wasn't the water, it was her. When she finally looked up, her eyes were rimmed and red and fierce with something bigger than fear. I should have said it sooner, she whispered. I didn't know how. Start with now, I said. We're here. She pulled the throw tight like a shield. Mom's been planning things since the summer. Phone calls when she thought I was asleep. She said, it has to look normal. He's old. No one will question it. The words came faster. She made me watch you. Not like a game. She'd ask if you got dizzy after you visited, if you took your pills, if you ever forgot names. She told me it was helping. My jaw ached. I had not realized I was clenching it. What else did she say? That you'd be happier if you didn't have to worry about the house, that we'd all be better off. She looked at me when she said, "we." Lily swallowed. She searched things too, on her phone. I saw words I didn't understand at first, then I did. She closed the screen and told me snooping was rude. I kept my voice even. Did she ever tell you to give me anything? Lily's head shook hard. No, she wouldn't let me touch stuff you were going to eat. She said I messed things up. But the word broke, she put things in cups sometimes. I pretended I didn't see. I thought if I said something wrong, I don't know. She threatened you, I said, not a question. She said if I told lies, she'd send me away. Lily's eyes filled again. A program out of state, somewhere with uniforms. She said I ask too many questions, that I don't appreciate how hard she works. I wanted to stand, to pace, to do something with the heat running in my blood. Instead, I stayed very still and let my voice be the steady thing in the room. Look at me. She did. You are not going anywhere without my say. Not a program, not an hour. You are safe here tonight, tomorrow, as long as it takes. Her lip trembled. What if, Dad? Your father and I will speak, I said, but hear me. I believe you. You told the truth when it was hard. That is courage. That's the kind of person I want beside me. A small breath shook out of her. She leaned against me the way she used to when she was 5 and thunderstorms found our street. I felt the damp in her hair and the weight of the choice she had made, the weight I would carry now. We have to be smart, I said after a while. No fights, no scenes, we don't tip our hand. I need you to sleep in the guest room. Lock the door. If anyone asks tomorrow, you wanted to keep Grandpa company. That's all you say. She nodded into my shoulder. Tomorrow, I went on, we tell someone whose job is to help, a lawyer. We make a plan. We write down everything you remember. We save what needs saving. We let people who know the rules handle the rules. Will they believe us? Her voice was a thread. They will. I rubbed her back in slow circles. And if they don't at first, we will keep talking until they do. We sat in the quiet until her breathing evened. I settled her in the guest room with the blue throw and the lamp on low. I waited in the hall until the room's sounds were only the small one's sleep makes. In the kitchen, the phone felt heavy and clean in my hand. I scrolled to a name I have trusted for years. Peter Nyan answered on the second ring, his voice rough with sleep but alert. Peter, I said, it's Henry. I need you at my house in the morning. We have a problem and we're going to solve it. Morning slipped into my kitchen in a pale stripe. Lily was still asleep on the couch, the blue throw tucked to her chin, one hand on the dog-eared book she'd pretended to read. At 8:17, the doorbell chimed. Peter Nyan came in with a legal pad and a face that said he'd left his own worries on the porch. I read your message twice, he said, setting the pad on the table. We move quietly, no confrontations. You let me worry about the rules. I need Lily's safe, I said, and I need this to stop. It will, he said. He flipped the pad. First, your estate. We'll place the house and accounts into a trust for Lily's benefit. A trustee, someone you choose, manages it until she's grown. Second, guardianship papers. If anything happens, you named the person who takes her. Third, documentation. You describe, you date, you do not accuse. If there's evidence to preserve, do it lawfully. I'll coordinate with the proper people when the time is right. Do we tell Michael? I asked. Not yet, Peter said. You act like yourself. If you need to act frailer, fine, but no heroics. The point is not to win an argument. It's to be believed. He had me sign what could be signed today. We agreed he'd return tomorrow with drafts and instructions. When he left, the house felt firmer under my feet. At 9, I crossed the street to Ethel Brooks. She'd lived in her little yellow ranch long enough to know every car on our block by sound. She opened the door before I knocked twice. "Walk, Davider," she said, eyes narrowing with concern. "You look like a man who needs coffee and a neighbor." "I need your eyes," I said. I told her just enough. That Lily was with me, that something at dinner was wrong, that I might need someone to call if she saw something that didn't sit right. Ethel's mouth went thin. I never did like that polished smile of Vivian's, she muttered. All the edges point inward. She touched my arm. You text me a word, any word, and I'll be watching. If I see so much as a cup go in your bin that shouldn't, I'll keep it safe. And if anyone leaves your house and you don't look yourself, I call 911 first and ask questions later. Thank you, I said. It felt like stepping under a good roof in a storm. By late morning, Tyler Kim knocked, earbuds hanging, a coil of nervous energy contained by kindness. Ethel said you might need tech eyes, he said. I can check your doorbell camera, make sure the clips are saving, and, if you want ways to save conversations quiet, simple, I can show you where to keep them so you remember to push one button, not 3. We keep it simple, I said, and legal. Got it, he said. He walked the perimeter of my kitchen with the focus of a librarian, testing a chime, noting where sound carries. When he left, the doorbell camera blinked a steady blue, and a small recorder sat in my purse beside the mints, ready for my clumsy hands. At noon, I called Michael. I let the act begin. Son, I said, letting air into the words, I can't find my, the thing for the keys. Key hook? Dad, are you okay? Foggy day, I said, must be my age. I've been a little dizzy. Vivian said something about good places for people who forget. I can't remember the name. There was a pause. Assisted living, he said softly. That's the one. I'll come by, he said. Vivian's making soup. Vivian arrived at 3, carrying a container and a calendar. We're worried, she said, arranging both on the counter. You sounded confused on the phone. You shouldn't be alone. I hate to be a burden, I murmured. You could never be, she said, and the smile she wore had no warmth. Why don't you come stay with us for a while, just until you're steady? We'll handle meals, appointments, everything. I glanced toward the living room where Lily's book lay. I thought of Peter's legal pad, Ethel's promise, Tyler's blue light. That might be wise, I said. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, she echoed, relief slipping through the polish. Pack a small bag. We'll pick you up in the morning. Vivian pulled to the curb at 9:30, bright morning pouring over a spotless driveway. Their 2-story looked like a model home, sharp angles, pale stone, a door that opened before she reached for it. Welcome, Henry, she said, voice warm and practiced. We set you up on the first floor so you won't worry about stairs. The guest room waited at the end of a short hall, neat as a hotel. One small window, a chair angled away from the doorway, a bed you could see only if you stepped inside. Lily's room, I knew, was upstairs near theirs, far. Michael carried my small bag and pretended it was heavy. Text me if you need anything, he said, then added, I'll be in my office, as if I had a meeting to schedule. Vivian toured me like a docent. Bathroom here, call button on your phone favorites. I labeled your vitamins so there's no confusion. A plastic organizer gleamed on the dresser, days of the week smiling in a straight line. Meals at set times will help with, steadiness. I appreciate the care, I said. I let a little fog into the words, the kind that makes people speak for you. She placed a tray on the nightstand, broth, crackers, a pale cup. Start slow, she said. We can build up to solid food. I lifted the spoon, let it touch my lip, and set it down like I was pacing myself. When she checked her watch, I smiled at the window. Clouds moved over a clean Texas sky. Somewhere, a leaf blower droned. Inside this house, everything hummed on cue. By noon, a schedule existed. Vivian's calendar ticks became my day. Walk to the patio at 12:15. Nap at 1. Medication at 2. She hovered with kindness like a net. Michael drifted through doorways, ghosting his own life, asking if the Longhorns still had a chance this season, as if scores could plug the cracks. Dad, he said, pausing in the hall, are you feeling clearer today? Some, I said. Names get slippery. The rest holds. He looked relieved and sad at once, then looked away. At 3, Lily came home from school. I heard her backpack thump the foyer bench, light feet pause, then step into the doorway. She didn't cross it. Vivian stood behind her, a lady's hand on her shoulder. "Say hi to Grandpa, sweetheart," Vivian said. "Hi, Grandpa," Lily said, small and steady. "How was math?" I asked. "Numbers still add up," she said. "Good to know." Vivian's smile tightened. Homework, then snack. They moved down the hall. Lily's glance brushed mine, a quick, bright signal, and was gone. The house kept its own weather. Air moved through vents in a soft, continuous whisper. Voices traveled with it. In the late afternoon, as light cut thin across the carpet, I heard two above me, toned low. "It's worse," Vivian said. "He called a key hook a key hanger." Michael murmured something I couldn't catch. "We shouldn't wait," she said. "Today or very soon. Before he starts asking questions he shouldn't ask." A door softly latched. Footsteps crossed overhead. The whisper faded, but it stayed in the room with me. I texted one word to Ethel, "Here." Her reply arrived at once, eyes on. A second later, Tyler, blue light steady. At 5, Vivian delivered a small plate, soft eggs, toast cut into neat halves. "Protein helps," she said, "and routine." She watched me take a bite. I did. She watched me chew. I did. I let the second forkful rest. "Full already?" I said. "Small stomach today." "Your appetite will come back," she said. "We'll keep you strong." She smoothed the bedspread that didn't need smoothing. Evening slowed. The television upstairs leaked canned laughter through the vents. I used the quiet to breathe and remember who I was in this story. Not a patient, not a burden. A grandfather waiting for his moment. At 6, the hallway dimmed. Someone paused outside my door. The tray arrived before the knock. A mug, a saucer, a napkin folded into a little sail. The steam rose straight, fragrant, almost friendly flowers with a sweetness that didn't belong. A wristwatch flashed in the corner of my eye. The steps retreated. I sat very still and listened to the house breathe. The tea waited on the nightstand like a question with only one honest answer. She came at dusk, when the house turns gentle. A soft knock, then the door eased open. Vivian slid in with a leather folder and the same pale mug from earlier, steam rising in a thin, straight line. "I thought you might like tea," she said, "and there's something we should take care of, for Lily." She set the mug on my nightstand, the folder on my lap. The tea smelled like flowers with a sweetness that didn't belong. I kept my face mild, the way old men do when they're trying to remember a name. "What's all this?" I asked, tapping the folder. "Simple updates," she said, opening it to flagged pages. "Beneficiaries, guardianship language. If anything happens, we handle the hard parts so Lily doesn't have to. You've been forgetful. It's smart to be prepared." She handed me a pen and watched my hand the way a hawk watches a field. I lifted the mug, let steam touch my lip, and set it down as if the heat surprised me. "Give me a minute," I said. My free hand found my purse on the chair. I clicked the little slider inside, one quiet movement, and let the bag settle where it would hear. Vivian leaned in, voice gentle, words hard. "I talked to a specialist. Tiny strokes can get worse without warning. We shouldn't wait." She tapped the signature lines. "Initial here, sign there." "What about Peter?" I asked. "He's handled everything for years." "He's old-fashioned," she said, smiling thin. "Michael knows a younger firm, more up-to-date." I turned the pages as if the text were a fog I had to part with my eyes. "Tomorrow," I said. "I'll read tonight, we'll call in the morning." Her patience slipped, just a hair. There might not be a tomorrow. The sentence fell between us like a dropped plate. In the hall, something small scraped a shoe. Then, stillness. Lily. I didn't look up. "I'm tired," I said softly. "Let me finish the tea." Vivian watched me lift the cup again. I tilted it, let a warm edge touch my mouth, then set it down with a satisfied breath. Most of the surface still shivered in the light. "You're doing the right thing," she said, gathering the folder, "for family." When she left, I waited for the air to settle. Then I wiped my lip, texted 2 words to Peter, "Tomorrow morning." A second message to Ethel, "Ready." Tyler replied before my screen dimmed, blue, steady. I turned off the lamp and sat with the house sounds, the vents whispering, the TV upstairs, someone moving from one side of the hall to the other. The mug cooled beside me, sweet and wrong. In the silence, a breath caught outside my door, and a whisper I almost didn't hear. "Grandpa?" "Here," I said. "We're almost there." They arrived at 9 sharp. Peter Nguyen, my lawyer, held a legal pad, and beside him stood Detective Carla Morales, badge tucked away, but eyes alert and ready. "Mr. Morgan," she said, extending a calm hand, "I'm Detective Morales, part of the Elder Abuse and Fraud Unit." Vivian opened the door before I could respond. "We weren't expecting company," she said, her voice smooth and practiced. "Henry's resting." "Good," Peter replied. "This won't take long. He asked me to stop by about some estate matters." Vivian's smile faltered. "Estate?" she echoed, her voice suddenly sharper. "What does that mean?" "David wanted to review his will," Peter clarified. "I thought it would be prudent to have a witness present." He nodded toward the detective. "I'm here to help ensure everything is in order," Morales added, her tone friendly but firm. Lily lingered in the background, her eyes wide. I could see her anxiety mirrored in her mother's face, but Vivian quickly regained her composure. "Of course, we want what's best for Lily." "Let's get started," Peter said, flipping his pad open. "Henry, why don't you describe your current situation for us?" Vivian's smile tightened, and I could sense the tension in her shoulders. "He's been forgetful," she interjected. "It's natural at his age." "Forgetful enough to sign complex documents without counsel?" Morales asked, her eyebrow arched. "I brought simple updates," Vivian insisted, directing her gaze toward me, "for Lily's sake." Peter continued, his voice even. "We'll review any updates with Henry's chosen counsel. That's me, and I'm here to help protect his wishes." Morales leaned forward slightly. "Mrs. Cross, how long have you been assisting Mr. Morgan with meals and medications?" "I help where I can," she said, but her eyes darted. "He's been having episodes. It's natural at his age." "Did you drink any of the tea you prepared?" the detective asked. "I don't care for chamomile," Vivian replied, her tone defensive. The atmosphere thickened. "If you still have the tea and cup at home, don't wash them," Morales said. "Testing can help us rule out any contaminants." "Of course," Vivian said, but the words felt strained. I felt the urge to speak, to break the tension. "I'd like to play something," I said, reaching for my phone. I set it on the table, ready to share the recording from last night. Vivian's eyes flared. "What recording?" I pressed play. Her voice filled the room. "We shouldn't wait. Initial here. Sign there." The sound of pages turning. "There might not be a tomorrow." Silence fell. Michael's head jerked toward her. "Viv," he said, his voice trembling. Detective Morales didn't flinch. "Mrs. Cross, you understand how that sounds when paired with pressure to sign a will?" "I was talking about health," she shot back, but the panic crept in. "She was fine until last night." Peter leaned in. "David has capacity. He sought counsel. He documented your conversation prudently." The tension in the room swelled as evidence loomed over Vivian. Ethel entered, carrying a brown paper bag. "I didn't like how it smelled," she said, handing it to Morales. "From his kitchen trash the other night." The detective accepted it, her expression turning serious. "Thank you, ma'am." Vivian's face paled, then hardened. "This is ridiculous," she sneered. "You think you can ruin our family over tea and paranoia?" "Miss Cross," Morales said, stepping forward, "you're under arrest for attempted murder and exploitation of an elderly person." The room tightened around us as I watched the reality sink in. The cuffs clicked around Vivian's wrists, and she turned to me, eyes blazing. "You think you've won?" I held her gaze, steady. "You've shown me who you really are." 6 months later, the house sounds different. Quieter, but not empty. Lily's backpack drops at 3:40. Pencils scatter, and someone laughs, the kind that doesn't check the door first. She does homework at the coffee table while I stir soup that tastes like Sundays without pretending. The court did what courts do, slow then sudden. Vivian took a deal. Michael accepted responsibility for what he knew and when. Guardianship is signed, the trust is funded, the papers live in a drawer Livy can point to without fear. At night, she sleeps through. No footsteps in the hall, no listening for cups. We keep the porch light warm and the doorbell camera on, though I check it less. Ethel waves from across the street. Tyler fixed the chime so it doesn't sound like a hospital. Sometimes Lily bikes to the park and comes home flushed, 13 and exactly her age. I learned that family isn't who shares your name, it's who stands in front of danger and says no. Lily did that for me. I did it back.
Justice is not loud, but it does arrive. I'm grateful that God set caring neighbors nearby. God lit a way through the night, and God taught me to tell fear from truth. In family betrayal, you still deserve protection. When signs of family betrayal appear, go to the law. And after family betrayal, allow forgiveness with wise boundaries. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. I want to see how far this little house in Austin can reach.